special officer. Nobody does that.
We did not carry anybody.
The man took this alarm. We will not allow because he was chief of naval staff. And then you to carry land.
Sir, everything was acquired legally.
Will you stop
sir,
that? Will you stop that?
Sir, I'm an officer. Have integrity.
Shut up, your mouth. Put us.
Will not shut up.
Will you get out?
Sir, I won't shut up. Sir,
I was in school. You're not in school.
Sir, you can't shut
Will
me
you keep quiet? Get a big food.
I'm not
You are a big fool.
I'm not a fool,
You
sir.
can shoot anybody like that.
Sir, I'm not
You
a
are
fool.
big fool.
I am not a fool, sir.
As of the time I graduated, you are in primary school.
I'm acting on orders.
Take for which order? I just you will see whether you will not be here.
Sir, you can't call me a fool.
Go and open up your
I'm an
mouth.
officer. I'm not a fool, sir. I'm an officer.
You will have killed everybody here.
No, we won't kill anybody. We won't kill anybody. We are acting on orders.
Go and develop here. Let me see you.
Regular officer, you won't come and complain.
We are going to get out.
Wike is not beating the allegation that he is always behaving like a thug. What he just displayed right now is an attitude of a tout. This altercation between him and this naval officer should not have happened if Wike understand who he is and understand procedures and hierarchy and chains of commands. And because he failed to understand all of this, it has cost him his dignity if there is any left in him. He was simply told by the officer that he is obeying an order. That is enough for Wike to leave that place immediately. He has no business engaging with that naval officer. Wike should not even be seen in that place in the first place. What he would have done is to ask one of the men with him to go and find out what exactly is happening. On getting the information of what is happening there, he should leave immediately. As someone that works with the government, he should try to reach out to the superior officer that sent that naval officer there, rather than embarrassing himself. The Nigerian Armed Forces operate under a strict hierarchy. The President of Nigeria functions as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. He exercises constitutional authority through the Ministry of Defense. The operational head is the Chief of Defense Staff, who is subordinate to the Defense Minister. Now here is how the military deployment works in Nigeria. When a naval officer says, "I am acting on orders," he is not being stubborn or disrespectful. He is following a command structure that requires him to obey lawful orders from his superiors. In this case, the Chief of Naval Staff or another superior naval officer. There are only few persons in the country that can vacate a military deployment order. The President, who is the Commander-in-Chief, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Naval Staff for naval personnel, a superior officer in the direct chain of command. Notice who is not on the list: a civilian minister. Even the FCT minister is not on that list. In military doctrine, an officer who abandons his post or disobeys a lawful deployment order without proper authorization faces court-martial. That young lieutenant wasn't being stubborn. He was protecting his career, his honor, and following the law. As a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, it is expected that Wike should know all of this. Wike should have recognized that any military presence indicates a higher authority that is involved. Wike should have requested to speak with a commanding officer and document their deployment orders. If Wike is convinced that the officers were legitimately deployed, he would have contacted the Chief of Defense Staff, the President Chief of Staff, the Ministry of Defense. He should have allowed the proper authorities to sort out the jurisdictional conflict. He should have maintained his dignity and professionalism throughout. But unfortunately, Nyesom Wike lacked any of this. But this embarrassing incident doesn't exist in a vacuum. It is part of a larger pattern of lawlessness that has defined Wike's tenure as FCT minister. Since assuming office in August 2023, Wike has ordered several demolitions of what he described as illegal structures. But today he met his match. After the naval officer confrontation, Wike told journalists, "I am not one of those persons who will succumb to blackmail or intimidation." But here is the irony. The young officer wasn't trying to intimidate him. He was simply doing his job. Wike's interpretation of lawful military deployment as intimidation reveals a troubling mindset, one that sees any resistance to his authority as a personal attack rather than legitimate institutional process. But the bigger question we should be asking ourselves is, how is Nyesom Wike getting away with all of this? The answer is simple: presidential protection. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has not only kept Wike in his cabinet, but has given him full power to operate in Abuja with virtually no oversight. This is the same Tinubu who campaigned on renewed hope and rule of law. Think about this. Massive demolitions affecting thousands, no presidential intervention, confrontation with military personnel, no consequence, ongoing controversies and public outcry, complete silence from Aso Rock. Why? Because Wike delivered Rivers State political machinery to APC during the 2023 elections. He sabotaged the PDP chances in his home state, a state the PDP desperately needed to win. The price for that betrayal: immunity from accountability. Tinubu lawlessness enables Wike lawlessness. It is a symbiotic relationship of impunity. When the president looks the other way as his minister disrespect military protocols, when he allows demolition without due process, when he permits a cabinet member to operate like a warlord, that is not leadership, that is complicity. Want to understand just how deep this lawlessness is? Let's talk about the PDP National Convention saga, a masterclass in political manipulation and legal gymnastics. Here is a man, Nyesom Wike, who was elected as a PDP governor, claimed to still be a PDP member, currently serves as a minister in an APC government, but is actively working to sabotage his own party, the PDP. On October 31, 2025, Justice James Omotosho of the Federal High Court in Abuja stopped the planned 2025 National Convention of the PDP until the party complies with statutory requirements, the Constitution and the Electoral Act. Shortly after the verdict, Wike celebrated, saying he was filled with different reactions and that we have fought impunity, describing it as one of the happiest days of his life. Let that sink in. A PDP member celebrating a court order that stopped his own party convention. A man who served in an opposition government actively working to cripple the party that made him politically relevant. Wike loyalists within the PDP resolved to abide by the judgment, describing it as affirming the supremacy of PDP constitution. This is the same Wike who demolishes property without court orders, who confronts military officers carrying out lawful duties, who operates with complete disregard for due process. Suddenly, is a champion of following the law when it suits his political interests. The hypocrisy is suffocating. The Wike Naval officer incident isn't just about one-man ego. It's a symptom of a dangerous disease affecting Nigerian governance. When civilian officials feel entitled to override military deployment, when ministers believe their political appointment supersedes constitutional hierarchies, when the president enables this behavior through silence, we are watching the dismantling of the very structures that keep democracy functioning. After the incident, Wike said, "I don't understand how somebody who attained that position cannot approach my office to say, 'Look, this is what is going on.' Is it because he's a military man that he should use soldiers to intimidate Nigerians?" The irony is almost poetic. Wike, who regularly intimidates Abuja residents with demolition notices and bulldozers, is complaining about intimidation. But here is what that young naval officer taught us all. Integrity means standing your ground even when power demands you move. That young military officer showed more leadership, more respect for law, more dignity than a federal minister with decades in politics. He stood at attention. He cited his orders. He refused to be bullied. He did his job. He did what Nyesom Wike has not been doing. This Wike embarrassing himself isn't really about Wike. It is about us. It is about a nation that has normalized lawlessness from those in power. It is about a people who watch their institutions crumble and struggle with resignation. It is about a democracy where political loyalty trumps constitutional duty. That naval officer didn't back down because he understood something fundamental. Order matters. Hierarchy matters. When we forget that, When our leaders forget that, when the president enable ministers who have forgotten that, we are not just witnessing one man's embarrassment, we are witnessing the slow motion collapse of the very system that should protect us all. I am Avalanche Media. I bring the truth like an avalanche. Fast, heavy, and unstoppable. Stay informed, stay vigilant, stay ready. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.